Markeko Monday. Today we're going to be talking about how the Facebook data breach affected audience segmentation. There's been a lot of questions regarding how will this whole debacle affect your campaigns. And we've seen a couple of, I wouldn't say issues, but basically a number of ways of how the whole data breach has affected specifically audience segmentation and analysis I would add into this. And so today we're going to be talking about 5 things of how this whole data breach affected you as a business owner or a marketer. And one I would say is audience insights. And so we're going to see that there's a couple of things that you can't do anymore. 2, we're going to talk about custom analysis of audiences. 3, we're going to talk about third-party variables to segment your audiences. 4, we're going to talk about audience overlap. And 5, we're going to talk about email and phone number lookup within Facebook. And those are basically the 5 biggest things of how Facebook has affected you as a business marketer. And so I would say the number 1 is audience analysis within audience insights, right? And so before you would be able to select a custom audience and analyze it within audience insight to get a better sense of who your demographics who your audience was. If you look at it now, if I go to audience insight, I can still pick everyone on Facebook, right? I can still pick people connected to my page, a custom audience. However, when I go into it, if you look, you can't select it anymore. You can only build an audience, but you can't analyze a custom audience. And this used to be really helpful because it will give you a lot of information with regards to demographics, age and gender, relationship status, educational level, what pages they interacted with, location, and also just overall activity within Facebook. So this used to be really helpful to understand who your customer was, right? Because you could just upload a database into Facebook, analyze it, and just get a better sense of demographics, page likes, location, and activity. And this has been key, at least for us, because you can't analyze customers. And a lot of businesses, the number one mistake that they do is that they don't know who their audience is. Number 2, before you were able to select again a custom audience within a core or saved audience, and this sometimes is named core audience, and you will be able to re-segment that audience or a lookalike, for example, and analyze to see what percentage of people, for example, had different variables. So I would select a custom audience, but then I could pick and say I just want women. I want women with between the ages of 20 to 40, and Facebook would give me the number of people there. If you look at it now, you can't do that anymore. So if, for example, I have this customer list, data is not available. If I keep resegmenting it, I have women and I say 18 to, let's say, 40 years old, it still won't show me. And this used to be helpful too in understanding how large a specific segment within a database used to be within Facebook. And so this was key as well because it would allow you to better analyze and say the number of people within different segments of within your database. So how large were women? How large were men? What variables or differences did they have? And that was key as well. Number 3, and I got this from TechCrunch, but I would say that the third thing is third-party data providers. There were, I would say, 3 big ones, but there's a number of ones, Data Logics, Epsilon, Blue Sky, Axiom, they were the biggest ones, third-party data providers. So now they've cut that. You can't do that. This was a huge business for them. I think this business just made like $800 million last year. You won't be able to segment people within third-party providers. This used to be really helpful within the US, especially for specific niche markets, demographics, and behaviors. You can't do that anymore. So if you go here, for example, and I deselect a customer list, I would select United States, and I go down into behaviors, for example, you can't select external parties or the ones that were related to third parties. So that's been blocked as well. So how does this affect you? Less variables to use within segmentation. Number 4, audience overlap. Why is this a big deal? Because before, I used to be able to say, well, let's figure out between my database of customers and my fans, and let's find out what percentage of people are both. So what percentage of people are fans within that database. Or I could select, well, I'm going to check people that check our website, and I'm also want to check people from our database, and let's try to find the percentage of people or the number of people that had both. You can't do that anymore. The only thing that Facebook allows you to do is certain custom audiences and also core or saved audience. But now with databases, not allowed. And this is a big thing because before we used to be able to upload a bunch of different databases, analyze them, see their overlap, and see we're targeting the same segment or market. But if you look at it now, if I upload people or databases, it won't show me the data because now you get this message: to protect the privacy of people within Facebook, we don't share data for audiences of fewer than 1,000 people. Even if it's more than 1,000 people, now audience overlap won't show you within Facebook, right? Number 5, and this I would say was more with regards to what I call people stalking. And it used to be big for lead generators. So I don't know if you're aware, but before you were able to just put in a phone number or an email address and Facebook would show you that person. If you look now, we couldn't find anyone with that phone number. If you go into Facebook and I put a number of someone that had registered himself or herself within Facebook, it would find that person, or an email address like this one, it would show me that person as well. This used to be helpful, but there were a lot of bots or web scratchers basically where they would put the number, the email address, and just scrap all the database of those people that was publicly available. So Facebook decided to just cut that and not allow people to do anything with regards to using phone numbers, using email addresses to find them. So those are the 5 big things of how the Facebook data breach has affected you and will currently, and some of the things that will happen in the future as well. So one is just understanding better your audiences by uploading databases. Number 2 is resegmenting audiences or databases and learning how large they were. 3, third-party providers. So as you can see, no longer useful anymore. 4, you can't compare databases anymore or overlap. It's going to say that even at this example where you have fewer than 1,000 people, we've done some experiments. Even with more than 1,000 people, they won't show you the overlap just for security measures. And 5, you can't look for people with their phone number or email address. Other things that we think are coming. One is databases and how you use databases within Facebook. They've changed their privacy settings we think it's going to become harder to upload lists as well, and it might affect us with regards to how much information you're allowed to access. But that's still, like, we don't know specifically what's going to happen. But those are 5 things that today affect you as a business, with how the data breach has really changed how much information you can access, how much information you can analyze from your custom audiences. So again, thanks for listening today, guys. The other thing I want to just remind you is we have our website with our blog where you can read a lot of information, tips, and also tutorials. We have our free study guide that you can download. We've had more than 3,000 people download the study guide now to study or prepare for the exams. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, our YouTube channel as well, and join our free group where we're having close to 5,000 members. We're actually close to that number. I'm pretty excited about that. Don't forget to join. It's free. You can ask a lot of questions. You can comment, and there's a lot of discussions going on with what's happening. So again, thanks for listening today, guys. I want to thank you for taking the time. Don't forget to follow us. See you next Monday. Thanks.